Hello and welcome to our restorative yoga session. My name is Maria Mountain. I will guide you through these, I hope, really lovely postures. Restorative yoga is really something we should do more often because not only does it nurture our body and soul, encouraging the parasympathetic nervous system, the system of our body that helps, and mind and soul that helps us to be calm and relaxed. Restorative yoga poses also help to release connective tissue, which is much more difficult to let go than our muscles are. So I'd like to invite you to lie down on your backs to start the session. Oh, and make sure you have lots of pillows before you lie down. Lots of pillows, cushions, blankets, a couple of bricks or blocks if you have such a thing. You can see I've got a great supply here and we'll be using a lot of them. So make sure you've got plenty of things there. Lying down on your back, if you normally have a block under your head, feel free to do that. If you lie with the back of your head on your mat and that feels comfortable for your neck, that's fine too. Allow your attention to turn inward. Oh, and it's so important that your attention for your whole yoga session is so self-kind. I know that's not a word, self-kind. It's so important that there's no place for judgment or self-criticism here. As you turn your kind attention to yourself, you might notice any discomfort in the body, any kind of discomfort in your body, and noticing it with a gentle kindness. Turning your attention to mind. Noticing if there's anything in particular that's going round and round today, any thoughts that are troubling for you. Again, noticing with warmth, without any judgment. Noticing and letting it be without getting drawn into it. Turning your attention to your emotions, if there's any particular mood that's around for you at the beginning of this session, whether that's emotion that you like or don't like, noticing anything that's around, accepting it, not getting caught up in it. To bring us into more awareness of the body to start the session with, we're going to do a particular body scan where we tighten muscles, engage muscles, and then release them. So to start with, bring your attention right down into your toes without moving any other part of your foot as much as possible, as little as possible. Just scrunch the toes and release them. Scrunch the toes twice and release them. The second time, release them as fully as you can and be aware of your toes. Coming to the foot, draw the toes and the heel towards each other so you engage your arch muscles and release and do it a second time. And release fully. So you can have your legs straight or your knees bent for this. It doesn't matter. Draw the toes up towards your knees. When you do that, you engage the calf muscles at the back of the lower leg. And relax. Pushing the heels away, draw the toes up towards the knees. And relax, let that go. See if you can engage the muscles around the kneecap. Really works the thigh muscles, but still have the focus on the knee, both knees, and relax. A second time, engaging the muscles around the kneecap and relax. Lots of big, strong muscles in the thigh, engaging the thigh muscles, the inner thigh muscles, the outer thigh muscles, the front and the back. Exhale, release. Draw the muscles in again, as if you're hugging all the muscles of the thigh in around the bone. And exhale, release. Buttock muscles, also big strong muscles there, your glutes. Release. Doing it a second time, engaging, pulling the muscles in. Exhale and release. The lower belly muscles, be aware of the hip points, the bones at the front of the hip. See if you can imagine drawing those bones towards each other. That engages the transversus lower belly muscles. Exhale and release. Second time. Make sure you release. It's easy to hold those muscles. Make sure you let them go. Perhaps a little rock out of the center of the body will help. Now, let me say, lift your head and shoulder just a little bit away from your mat, and that will make your upper abs engage. Exhale, release head and shoulders down. You're just lifting an inch or two. Lift, engaging the belly muscles, upper belly muscles, and release as you lower the head and shoulders. Coming to your back. Imagine you're scrunching your spine, you're consolidating, you're making your spine smaller. And release. And again, drawing the spine into itself. As if the tailbone and the spine just at the neck are closing in towards each other. And release. Shake all that out. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. Engaging the upper back muscles. Release. Squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other. And release. See if you can scrunch your ribs close together. And release. Crunching the ribs close together. There's a bit of a rounding of the shoulders, rounding of the ribs, the rounding of the back a little bit, and release. Let's come to the shoulders. Now make this very gentle with the shoulders. Gently drawing the shoulders up towards the ears. Don't engage the shoulders as fully as you can, because that sends the wrong signal to the brain that we want. That we're in fight or flight, and we're definitely not wanting to encourage that at the moment. Release, and a second time if you haven't done that already. Let your attention travel down the arms to the fingers. Scrunch the fingers, extend the fingers wide, and release. Scrunching, extending, and release. Bend your elbows. Pulling the lower arm towards the upper arm and release. Doing that a second time. And release. Let's see what's next. Take your chin towards your chest, lifting the head just a little. And release. to get the neck engaged more consciously. Second time. And release. Scrunch all the muscles of the face into a small heap in the center of the face. And then stretch the muscles wide. And release. Do that a second time. And release. Take your attention into your whole body. Notice what you feel in the body, what you experience in the body. Just from describing it, I feel more of a connection between my whole body. Also from doing bits and pieces as I've described it to you, I feel like my body is tingling and just quite awake. All right, let your attention come to your breath. Allow a few deep, slow breaths to enter your body. And a few long exhales to release your body. If you find it difficult to breathe deeply, that's fine. Just allow yourself to breathe as deeply as you feel okay with, even if it's not very deep at all. Doesn't matter. Just do what feels comfortable, and it will come with time and practice. Okay. After your next exhale, gently bend your knees. If they're not already, bring your feet to your mat. Draw the knees in towards the chest. Rock the legs side to side. When we do this, we give the sacrum a little massage and the muscles around the top of the hips, the lower back, and this can also be really calming, the rocking movement. Massage on the back. And then roll to one side. Come to all fours. And you're welcome to place some padding under your knees, whatever you might desire, especially today. If you normally can manage, you kind of rough it on the knees, not today. Today's a special nurturing day. So you get to have lots of padding under your knees to make it really comfortable. And when you're ready, take the knees wide. Stretch your arms. I need to move back a bit. Stretch your arms and come into what's called extended puppy pose with the hips in line with the knees. The knees might be a bit wider than hips. Stretching the arms. You can take your head to your mat, or you might prefer to take your head to one of your cushions or blocks, resting the forehead. Stretch the arms, draw in a beautiful big breath here. Well, this is so good for our sitting culture to stretch out the front of the body, arms, shoulders, chest, ribs, neck. And the next time you inhale, come back to all fours. Take your right hand a little bit closer to the front of your mat and slide your left arm between the right hand and the right knee. Take your shoulder and side of the head to your mat or to a cushion. Oh, that's nice. With the cushion, wow, that's really comfortable. Whatever's comfortable for you. We're warming up the body first before we come into these restorative, more restorative postures. Coming back to center and doing the other side, taking the left hand further forward towards the front of your mat, sliding the right arm in between the left hand and left knee. Make sure you're as comfortable as possible. Okay, when you're ready, breathing in, coming back to center. And we'll come into our first restorative posture. So let me demonstrate it for you. I need lots of props here. I need a whole gallery of props. Let me think. I think I'll have that, and I might even need a little bit from here from my head. So, what we want to do is come into this is a child's pose, restorative child's pose. You want to make sure your hips are resting on your pillows. You don't want to be hanging the hips in midair. You want more padding to put underneath your chest to raise your body a little bit. And then I've kind of run out of pillows. So then I need to put other things, blocks and bricks, underneath my head with a gap for my nose so I can breathe. So, put the pillow here, I think might be nicer. Oh, I could stay there all day, actually. You want to make yourself so comfortable that you get the feeling you could literally stay there all day. Now, if you are in an inner state of fight or flight, you might find it actually really difficult to stay still. If that's the case, as we're in that nurturing kind of space, that's fine, allowing that to be as it is. And if you do need to move or fidget, then feel free to do that. Meantime, you're still giving your body the signal that it's safe to come out of fight or flight and to settle down into the rest and digest. So for another minute or so, stay in child's pose. As you settle, you might find you need to adjust. The body settles. You might find you need to change things a little bit. That's all absolutely fine. Just go with what makes you comfortable, and I'll be silent for these next 45 seconds or so. Slowly bringing yourself out of your child's pose to a comfortable seated posture. Our second restorative pose is Matsyasana, fish pose, or at least a variation of. So with this pose, it's almost the opposite of child's pose, not quite. You want to make sure you've got your pillows right in contact, good solid contact with your lower back. That's not quite high enough, actually. You want to have an arch in your back, but one that's comfortable, and hence you want these pillows to support your lower back. So your lower back is not hanging in mid-air. It's going to be too much. So that's about right. If I were on my own, I think I'd spend a little bit longer adjusting, but for demonstration purposes, this is good. You want to have your chest open, so arms at your sides are out to your side with palms facing the ceiling. You can have the knees bent. You can straighten the legs. Okay, so go for it if you haven't already. Do check that your lower back has got enough support. And if it feels good to raise the height of your back, so you have a good back bend, but still comfortable one, that's of course great. Restorative poses is all about comfort, not about trying to push ourselves or make ourselves more flexible or stronger, as we do so often with most of our yoga. We'll stay here for, oh gosh, another couple of minutes. Let your breathing deepen in this posture. Notice where there may be any tension in the body. See if through your awareness you can allow that tension to dissipate, not a tension. Be kind to yourself. If you find your arms are getting tired in this position, change them to whatever you like. Another 15 seconds or so. The next posture is almost a variation of this posture. If you're in quite a back bend, I would come down a little bit lower, but you do want to be at a bit of an incline, your torso. Let your knees fall to either side with the soles of your feet together, and you'll want to hope you still have something left, so a prop left that you can use. Oh, where's my other brick calendar? Where is my other brick? You want to put something under each leg. Over there, isn't it? I should have set you up ready for this posture because you might also have had to move. Anyways, place something underneath the leg, same thing, same size under each leg, either the knee or the thigh, really whatever's comfortable for you. And we want to be high enough that there's no discomfort in the inner thighs. You might feel some stretching. That's okay. Discomfort, pain, of course, is most definitely not okay. Mild discomfort might actually feel good for you. Rocking out, settling back into your cushions and your pillows. Have the arms a bit lower this time, rather than shoulder height. Have them closer to the body. Maybe even have the elbows on the floor and your hands on your ribs or lower belly. Wherever they feel comfortable. Bring your attention to your diaphragm as you breathe. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle just below your ribs. Before you begin an inhale, this dome-shaped muscle is snuggled up to your ribs. When you breathe in, the muscle pulls away from the ribs down towards the pelvis, creating that space, that vacuum that the air can come into the lungs. When you exhale, the diaphragm pushes the air out of your lungs, coming back to rest, snuggled into the lower ribs. When you breathe in, the diaphragm expands and lowers. When you breathe out, the diaphragm contracts, coming back to its resting place, tucked up in close to the ribs. Another 20 seconds. Carefully bringing yourself into movement, bringing the knees back towards each other, towards the center. Rolling to one side and removing all these lovely cushions and pillows. So our next posture, making sure you move slowly in between, or not fast anyways, in between these postures, so you don't undo the release that's happening in your body. If you have a brick, you can use the brick. If you have a block, you can use the block. If you have a cushion, thin cushion, you could fold it over half like this. Your prop will go underneath your sacrum, so we'll come back to a lying position. Let me just show you. So you want this to be under your sacrum, not under the curves of your lower back. Actually, this is the way to come into it, lying down first, and then putting the brick or block or whatever you're using there. Under your sacrum, at its lowest height to start with, and you can see how it feels. It might feel good Just straighten each leg one at a time. That might not feel so good. It's okay either way. So getting into position if you haven't done that yet. Starting with the knees bent, definitely. Your arms might feel comfortable overhead. Wherever they feel comfortable is good. If you find that the brick or the cushion or whatever at its lowest height is very comfortable, you might want to raise the brick or put another small cushion underneath the sacrum to come a little bit higher. Try it. If it doesn't feel right, come back to the lowest height of your brick. If it feels good, let the legs straighten. Also notice your breath. For example, just now I took in a deep breath inside. It wasn't even a conscious thing. And this will really also help you to arrive into the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. It's about letting go. About giving yourself. This is one of these filling the well kinds of sessions. Filling the well. We'll stay here for about another 40 seconds or so. When you're ready, lift your hips so you can release your support. Bring your sacrum right down to your mat. Draw the legs in towards the chest. Rocking the legs side to side. Take some time with this. And when you feel ready, rolling to one side, bringing yourself up to a seated position. And I shall demonstrate for you the next posture. Gathering up my props, let me see. I'm not quite sure. So this is pigeon pose, Kapotasana. Kapotasana. Pigeon pose. We have one leg extended straight back. The other leg extends forward with, I'll show you this way on, with the heel of the front foot, perhaps in the region of the opposite hip. If you're very flexible, you'll have the leg further forward, but this is too strong, certainly for me at least, for a restorative yoga session. So I'm going to have my leg bent that much at the knee so that my heel is actually in contact with my opposite hip. Then, if I come back to showing you sideways, I'm going to place something under that raised hip, a cushion, or a block or a brick if your hip is raised high enough. And then I want to rest down. So I'll come onto some cushions. My arms can be in front of the cushions or Well, that's not very comfortable. Alongside the body, whatever's comfortable for you with the arms is good. Make sure you can breathe. So don't rest your head on a pillow so that there's no breathing space for you. Make sure your raised hip is well supported. I'm just thinking, if you find that uncomfortable for your bent knee, that leg. Oh yeah, you could raise really both hips, slide a brick or blocks underneath both hips so that both hips are raised a little bit higher. There's not quite so much pressure on that forward knee or hip. You might need to take a bit more time with this one. It might be a little bit more fiddly to get it just right for you. But we've got time. We've got all the time in the world. But remember, there's no rush to get it right. Taking your time. Know that staying in these restorative postures are bringing lots of intangible benefits, as well as the more physical benefits. Always adjusting if you need to, never staying in a position that begins to become uncomfortable. This is the kind of session where a bit of soothing music in the background could also be really nice. Okay, another few seconds. Slowly coming up, changing legs. If you need to do a little bit of a stretch of the legs in between, that's great. Coming to your second side. It may even be, you know, with your hips, if your hips are not comfortable, even with enough blocks under them, you can also rest your upper body on a chair, a low chair, so that the body is not compressed, or the body is not so close to the legs, giving a little bit more space for the hips and the knee. And when you're in a comfortable place, let your whole body simply melt. If it's been a stressful week, a stressful month, a stressful year, your body will be tired, and so These postures are a great way to give yourself a little bit of replenishing attention. Coming back up, slowly taking your time. Paschimottanasana, seated forward bend. Now, watch for a moment while I show you one of the dangers of doing this as a restorative posture. One of the dangers of doing this as any kind of posture, seated forward bend, one of the dangers is, this is how we come into a seated forward bend. Whether it's restorative or not, this can be a tendency, right, to round the lower back, round the upper back, and then actually we're not doing the body any favors at all. We're just reinforcing the same pattern we probably have in our back, which is to round. So what we want to do, even in the restorative posture, is to create engagement of all these lower back muscles. These muscles really need to work. You can imagine taking your belly towards your thigh. It's that kind of movement we want. And then the upper body can round forward over our props. That's the technique. So I would suggest putting something under your knees. That feels quite nice. Then you probably will want lots of padding, maybe mountains of it. You won't have the padding on your thighs. You'll have it either on your knees, you might have it on your thighs. I mustn't make such generalizations. You might do, but you don't want to have the padding close to your body because then there's no place for your lower back to lengthen. You can't hinge from the hips. So use as much as you need. And when you're ready, you can stack it sky high to start with. Easy to take away than to add. Look at that. I'm using everything. So when you're ready, you've got a little bend in your knees. The one active thing, two active things you're going to do with this posture, you're going to draw the toes back towards the knees, and that will stay gently throughout the whole posture. Otherwise, the legs roll to the side, and then we miss that lovely alignment of the legs. When you're ready, breathe in, lengthen the spine, so we're already activating these lower back muscles. And as you exhale, try and hinge forward from the hips. It may be a tiny, tiny movement. Definitely won't be a great big huge movement. And then when these muscles are engaged, then you can round the upper body onto your support, and likely you'll need to shift them, add to them, take away from them. We're going to rest here about 5 minutes. Good long restorative sessions. So you want to make sure you're comfortable. It's quite possible you'll find as you release into this posture that some of your supports may be able to be released as well. Bring your forehead to rest on your supports, by the way. Make sure you can breathe perfectly easily. Be very kind to yourself in this posture. Acknowledge yourself for all that you have sacrificed this year, for all that you have put up with this year, for all that you have coped with, for all the times you've mustered your courage, for all the times you've dealt with the unimaginable, for all the times that you've dug deep, for all the times that you've been compassionate and loved and cared for those who've needed you. Shoulders relaxing, jaw relaxing, upper body relaxing. You may feel it in your hamstrings and your lower back. Just over a minute. And when you're ready, slowly and kindly bring yourself to sitting. We're finished with most of those supports now. You might need still a brick, a couple of bricks, a couple of cushions to come into our final posture before we go into some pranayama and savasana, final relaxation. Jathara Parivartanasana is lying down twist. With my classes, we do this very often to finish a session for good reason. Let me just demonstrate the restorative version. Actually, oh, well, I'll say that when we get to it. Anyway, so I'm demonstrating this for you. We're taking our knees high, close in towards the body, over to one side, putting something under the knee, snuggling the shoulders in the direction of your knees over to the same side. You get coming to such a, oh, so nice, the twist. Your head can turn in the opposite direction, or for the restorative version, your head can also turn in the same direction as the knees, cheek coming towards the floor. So while you get yourselves ready, let me tell you the benefits of this posture, besides the physical benefits of the twist, which really helps to realign the spine, setting all those vertebrae in line with each other, and the muscles either side of the spine, helping them realign, come back into their proper length. This also helps with breathing and can help with things like anxiety. As we stretch the ribs, part of the whole setup with this posture, we also send the message to the brain that there's lots of space around the ribs, and so the ribs are safe, the body is safe, the breathing is safe. That can help release anxiety, asthma. It's also good for asthma. By the way, make sure you're warm enough at any rate throughout this whole session. So when you're ready, you've taken your knees over to one side, placed enough support under the knees. You're going to rest here for about a couple of minutes total each side, another minute on this side. Let your body be heavy. See if you can breathe into your middle ribs. Let your breath be nice and steady. Okay, perhaps one leg at a time, taking the top leg back to center and the bottom leg will follow. Just take a moment to rock out, to recenter your body, release the lower back. And then when you're ready, drawing the knees in towards the chest, letting the legs roll over to the second side. Arms at shoulder height, palms face up. And then snuggle, if it works for you, snuggle your shoulders over towards the same side as the knees a little bit more. So both shoulders come into deeper contact with your mat. Turning the head away from the legs or in the direction, the same side as the legs. Just under a minute. Bringing your knees one at a time back to center. You want to rock your legs out, rocking the hips. Oh, makes me all sleepy. And when you're ready, make sure you have enough layers on. You come to lying down on your mat, maybe for an extra treat today, lying on a blanket. You've got enough supplies there just to make it extra soft, extra special. It's really good to have the blanket under my hips, which I don't normally do. Have a blanket on top of you, a blanket underneath you, perhaps a half block or a low cushion under your head. Just make sure that doesn't raise your forehead higher than your chin. Then it's a little bit of a strain for the back of your neck. Turning the lights down, making yourself nice and cozy. We'll start our Savasana with some breathing focus. Today's breathing focus is about a full, complete breath. And when you're settled, just taking a moment to let your body settle. I mean, even when you think you're settled, let your body settle even a bit more. Our body can virtually always settle a bit more, I think. Those unconscious tensions we hold on to, they can release a little bit more. But also you're adjusting, you're shifting as you settle so that you become even more comfortable. And bring your attention to your breath. In the complete breath, we focus on 3 areas of the inhale: the lower belly, lower ribs, the upper chest. When you're ready, I invite you to empty your lungs of the breath, drawing the lower belly in to help achieve that. Emptying the lungs. When you breathe in, let the air flow into your lower belly, flowing into the ribs, flowing into the upper chest. As if by magic. And when you exhale, exhale as fully as you can. You might enjoy a little pause after your exhale so that the body really is ready for that next inhale. And all you have to do is open the space. And that life-giving air flows into your body effortlessly. And what a pleasurable feeling that is. Exhaling fully, also a pleasurable feeling. Allowing the breath to overflow into your body. Not overflow, that's not the right word. Let your breath generously flow into the body on the inhale. Let the breath leave the body as much as possible on your exhale. Another couple of breaths like this. And after that second full breath, let your breath return to normal. Noticing, appreciating, being aware of the breath, just the normal breath. And then if you need to adjust your position, changing the legs, releasing out the shoulders a bit more, lengthening the back of the neck, rocking out the hips, come into any movement you feel you might need to in order to be able to rest more fully in Savasana. We find it good to be kind to each other, to others. Yet we often find it so difficult to be kind to ourselves. These next 7-8 minutes, I invite you to be profoundly kind to yourself. As your body continues to soften and release, allow that sense of never being enough, never doing enough, never achieving enough. Allow that habit to release its hold on you, just for now. Just for now. Allow yourself to come into a place of acceptance. Absolute acceptance. Whatever is happening with your body and the sensations of your body, with your mind and your thoughts, with your soul and your emotions, allowing all that to be as it is. That's what makes us human. Allowing yourself to rest in this space. At this moment, for each of us, all is well. Allow your breath to deepen. Let that openness of your body receive that nourishment of the inhale. Feel that inhale reaching every cell in your body. With every exhale, let whatever the body doesn't need be removed with the breath. Let what needs to come, come. Let what needs to go, go. And begin to gently bring movement into your body in whatever way feels so good for you, without rushing. Continuing to keep your focus on the body, not losing that focus. You might enjoy a good stretch, or that might not feel like the right thing. If you've fallen asleep during the Savasana, you probably are not the only one, just to reassure you. When you're ready, bending the knees. If it's comfortable for you, draw the knees in towards the chest. Rock again, side to side. Being aware of how that feels for your sacrum, your lower back, the top of the buttocks, hips. You could have one hand on each knee or the fingers clasped around both knees. And roll over to rest on one side of your body, if that's comfortable for you. Doesn't work for everybody. If you prefer to stay on your back, that's also fine. Drawing in a big, beautiful last of the session, deep breath. Exhaling, bringing yourself back to a seated position. I thank you so much for sharing our practice together today. Go well. See you next time.